Hello everyone and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. We're taking a look today at Recon Infantry choices for the Entente Coalition, and just as a bit of a preface, we're not taking a look at Special Forces just because the Specjalne Jednotki 90 they're just amazing. Everything about it is wonderful. I highly recommend that you take at least one card. I take two. But the reason that we're talking about the other infantry is because I really am not the biggest fan of Prusminci, but I also don't really like Graniciari, and if you're looking for something a bit cheaper and more plentiful in terms of availability for your Recon infantry on the ground, those are your two options. So we have Gatsu with us here again today to give his recommendation, his take on which one of these you should bring.
So, Pruskovnici are like basically very basic 20-point shock recon squad. The main difference between them and the Granchari is that Pruskovnici can sometimes fight, but it's very... I would advise you not to just use them for passive spotting, but in times of need, similarly to like Recon Infantry, they can fight. Also, they are much more survivable than Granichari, standing at 10 men compared to 5. So if you tend to lose your infantry more, I would really advise you to take Pruskovnici and try to play them safely as possible. You shouldn't use them as your basic shocks. You should just use them for the spotting. And the extra survivability really matters for me. Also, when it comes to the transports, the most notably, the Pruskovnici, you can bring them in MI-17 if you have an MI-17, but if you had only one card of Recon, it's not a good choice to bring them in MI-17. You always need a ground transport. When it comes to the ground transports, it's pretty dire for a Pruskovnici, so usually you would need to resort to bringing them in the bed 5-pointer.
The Tatra 148?
Yes, but it's still okay-ish to bring them like that. The Granichari are almost in the same situation. You don't really want to bring them in a helicopter at all because the Mi-17 is the only good one. Also, honorable mention, which I forgot, is if you want Hein, the Mi-25 is also a good choice in some decks.
For the Prusminci.
Yes, the Mi-25 is a very good unit, especially in 1v1, not so much in team games. When it comes to the Granichari, the special thing is that you can bring them in this thing, the Recon vehicle, which is almost all the Recon vehicles for 15 points that come as a transports are very good because even if you lose the Granichari, for example, you can still use this as another Recon, like it's still passive Recon.
Yeah,
it's still very good.
This is what I take, by the way. I take one card of Graniciari in the bow of M86, and what I tend to do is I bring him in, I unload the Graniciari, and then I send them to different locations. So it's one card buy for two recon-capable units. But I think something you said earlier might be worth talking about a bit more, which is that the Prusminski shouldn't really be fighting. And this is something I messed up a lot, particularly earlier on, but I still do today. You buy a 20-point shock squad, and naively you think to yourself, okay, it's 20-point shock. Should be able to fight, right? And you end up blinding yourself when you lose them like this, right? Like that, it's just... it ends up getting expensive.
The main thing about Recon squads is that you don't have that many of them. Even they come at 6, for example, on the ones you clicked. But the thing is that every single time you lose them, you need to rebuy them because you need to have the spotting capability. So that's like one of the problems with fighting them, and they are very subpar when fighting. Like the Dragunov can be sometimes very good when you're like building and you see a squad of let's say some line infantry and you're still fighting them, it's good. But when you're actually like meeting infantry, it's very subpar compared to MG. Also, the RPG 75 is not so good when fighting vehicles, as you need 2 shots to kill 2 front, etc.
Right, so the rate of fire looks good, but the AP power really makes it not that great. Like, if we think about what these guys are going to be fighting, if you're taking Red 4 versus Blue 4 and you're going up against French AMX Pries, or I guess those are the Dutch version, but like the 3 frontal armor transports, these guys, you may as well be hitting them with a wet noodle. It's not really going to do much.
Yeah. The problem with that is that you're like maybe gonna kill one, but you're just gonna get overrun because there is like usually more of them than one, right? So
gotcha. So
the problem.
Which one of these do you take? We've talked a lot about the vehicle performances and all that. Let's say you have one slot left. Which one of these do you take?
Personally, depending on really what my recon tab looks like, but I always go for the shocks because they can like a little bit fight, but just 10 men are just way more survivable at having the same stealth as the 15 point.
Gotcha.
Once
So you
you
get better
fight them.
training, you get 5 more men, you get the ability to fight in a dire situation. I guess that's a lot of value for 5 points, a lot of tactical flexibility there.
I think the main selling point for me is that I don't lose them that often. So if there is like a round, if they get spotted for a second and like 2 tanks fire at them, they are not instantly dead. Like that's the main disadvantage of Granichari. But on the other hand, you should use them the same way as Granichari when they don't get fired at. So having both of these units are a perfectly good choice, and Granichari with both is like perfectly good combo.
Very well. Well, that does it for unit comparison today. Hope you guys found it informative. We'll have another one here for you tomorrow.